You know, we've all been there, feeling that frustration from hoping for something better only to be disappointed, whether it's in our political system or religion. You ever hear that saying about doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results? That's exactly what election years feel like to me. The last few years have only deepened my doubts about trusting the people we elect, people who take an oath to serve us but often fall short. It's disheartening, right? I've grown more and more demoralized by politicians and their empty campaigns. It's like this endless cycle, almost like the disillusionment you see in religious or cult beliefs where people get let down. Every now and then a new candidate comes along promising to be the change we need, to be the voice of reason, but eventually they just follow the same path as all the others before them, leaving their supporters disappointed. Lately I've been digging deep into religion, especially after that awful terrorist attack in Israel on October 7th. That event got me questioning the history of that region, why it's been a hotspot for conflict for so long. The idea of this land being considered holy intrigued me, so I started looking into the earliest people who lived there, like the Canaanites and their Semitic-speaking roots. That curiosity led me down the rabbit hole of Abrahamic religions, with Judaism catching most of my interest. This religion traces back to Abraham, a man who believed he received a message from God about there being only one true God. And because of Abraham's faith, God promised blessings for his family and a particular piece of land. It's kind of mind-blowing to think that one person's belief could have such a huge impact on history. Since Abraham's time, the land we now know as Israel has been at the center of so much conflict, all because of the narratives that stemmed from his teachings. It's fascinating that people followed him, and from that 3 major monotheistic religions emerged, each with their own version of the truth. When I take a step back and look at all of this, I can't help but wonder, how are the teachings of political leaders today any different from the stories told by religious figures like Abraham? What sets apart Abraham's claim of hearing God's message from the promises made by charismatic politicians? Both offer this idea of a better future, if we just believe in them. Isn't that the same kind of technique used by religious or even cult leaders? Trying to figure out whether what religious leaders preach is true is tricky, right? I mean, the only way to really know is to, well, die. And once you're dead, you can't exactly come back and tell everyone what you found out. It's kind of the same with politicians. They make these big promises, but the real challenge is whether they can work with others in power to actually bring about change. History shows that's not easy. It's as tough as religions living up to the teachings of their faith. Abraham's legacy is undeniably a big part of human history, but I'm still left wondering, what really sets religious beliefs apart from the teachings of leaders like Abraham? Here's a guy who said he got messages from God, and millions have followed those teachings for thousands of years. Are politicians who promise to save us from our problems any different from religious leaders like Abraham? Both offer the hope of a better future, as long as they can hold on to power. I always try to see the bigger picture. The recurring theme of unmet expectations, whether in cults, religions, or political promises, really makes me question the core of all belief systems. If you're interested in diving deeper into these thoughts, you can subscribe to Think Things Through at https://claytoncraddock.substack.com.